How about Cosmo, everyone?
Cosmo Wright, the current world record holder on Zelda Ocarina of Time. How fast can you do that game?
18 minutes and 10 seconds.
I was at the precipice. And now, I'm like a fallen star. I want to feel like I'm on top of the world. I feel like I'm being swallowed by it.
Okay, you shut up.
I can't let myself be torn down like that. Cosmo's not my name. My name isn't Cosmo. My name isn't Cosmo. My name is Narcissa. Zelda Breath of the Wild is coming out soon. This is a huge moment for me. Welcome, everyone. I'm dumping my life into it and almost becomes my soul. D-Girl, I've been thinking about you being here. Stop doubting the power of the internet.
What do you want?
I don't know how to just be calm and quiet during the hard moments because I feel like I really, really need connection. Is anybody out there? Is anybody out there? Is anybody out there?
That was wild. What a fun way to watch the movie.
Right?
So immersive.
Kind of surreal to see Twitch chat react to Twitch chat, right?
I know. The next step would be to take a VOD of this and stream it and have 3 chats going at once, but that might be too much.
The meta within the meta within the meta. They react metas. Yeah, totally.
Yes.
But no, it's kind of funny because, like, you know, you notice how quite a few of them were asking, were those chat messages real? Like they were like they were like, damn, is that really off? Because it's like it kind of gives off it's really authentic, and it's like, well, yeah, it's because it is actually. So
it was very important that it feel super authentic, and that required a lot of chat searching.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, chat, welcome in right now. We are now going to start our first post movie celebration here. So we're officially now doing the exclusive QA with the director, and I'm excited to ask you quite a few things actually here. But I guess first, before we even get to like, it's hard. There's something I want to talk to you about here real quick. But let's first just go with the very obvious thing here, which is that the film premiered on Twitch. And I feel like there's like a juicy story and there's like some pretty vital context over why on Twitch. Sure, it's a film about Twitch, but it debuted on Twitch too. And that's pretty uncommon. There's not many films that have done that here. So you have the floor, ma'am. What anything you want to bring to the table?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to say there. I think it's always been I have to say, it's kind of corny, but a dream of mine to show the film on your channel for a lot of reasons. Yes.
Stop.
One, during the pandemic, I saw you stream Feels Good Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, this is the future. This is the future of cinema. I never watched a movie in such an immersive way. I felt like the discussion went far beyond any Q&A I'd ever been to. I was so locked in, and I was like, I've got to do this with Break the Game. Also, obviously, the movie is about Twitch, so it makes sense. And I also think there's this other layer where I feel like, at least in the documentary film world, we're all trying to figure out how to get our work out there at a time when, to put it bluntly, the docs that you're seeing on streamers are often trash. They're very often celebrity fluff pieces, true crime.
Queen, you are spitting, and they can tell. They can tell. The whole, why does live streaming? Why is it so FOMO to catch a live version of the Twitch stream than the VOD? Because of the authenticity, the immersity, the genuineness of the whole thing here, and they can smell the corporate inauthenticity and the fluffing and the corporate product the whole way through here. They can smell that 5 miles away. Yeah, and just
and a lot of a lot of my friends in the community of doc filmmakers were trying to figure out how to get our work out there and really engage with our audience and find a new way to distribute our work at a time when streamers are paying less and less for our work. It's unlivable. And then, the next place to go, and a great place in the past, was public television. And I found out that Break the Game was going to be on PBS's long-running documentary series POV in November of 2023, which really felt like the best possibility. It's super competitive. They were really excited about this film and the opportunity to reach younger audiences. And they have quite a reach. They do so much engagement, reaching out to communities. And I was super stoked on that. But when I got the news that PBS was pulling our broadcast, which was supposed to be April 7th, it really, it was crushing on so many levels. But it brought back this question of how do we get the film out there? And luckily, they gave us permission to come to Twitch, which had always been part of the plan. Even though PBS, when we were first negotiating, said, you can't do Twitch streams, they came back and said, well, since we pulled the film, you can do Twitch streams. So that's when I reached back out and we're ready to go. Like, this is a way to reach audiences directly with bypassing gatekeepers and getting our film out there without censorship. So that's a lot, but it feels like the right place, and I think everyone in the chat probably saw how immersive this experience was, and I am curious to see how other filmmakers might take this approach and get weird with the distribution of their films.
Yeah, totally. Real quick here, one thing in your story I want to make sure that we're not misconstruing here, right? You said that streamers don't pay well, and you're referring to like the streamer platforms, is that correct?
Yes, okay. I'm talking like, Netflix,
right,
Hulu, etc. Like, right. I'm not talking about like Twitch streamers.
Yeah. I think Chad kind of, just to give a little bit of a history on that one, right? Like, Chad may forget here that there was the Writers Guild Union of America, right? They I'm getting the formal title here, right? But they or Screenwriter and Actors Guild, I think that's what it was. They went on, I think, strike, or they were negotiating pretty hardcore here because their contracts stem from the original 2007, 2008 disputes there, and those initial contracts didn't even include streaming because it didn't really exist at that time. And so we're at a point now where the economy's been wrapped around, like, literally screwing over and exploiting the workers, the actors, and the residuals due for all those properties as they're continuing to be exclusively on streaming and get all the views there. Much analogous and in parallel to how like Spotify's very predatory, exploitative model works too, where unless you're like, even if you're like a mega superstar like Snoop Dogg, who's reported on record saying that even he's only made like $40,000 from like a year of Spotify. You know how big he is. So any aspiring artist is like eating crumbs, right? So it's literally unsustainable all the way through. Sorry, not to get too copied, but yeah, like for filmmakers like you,
I call it a calling and not a career, especially for doc filmmakers. It's really unsustainable, and we're all kind of like hoping that we can figure out a new way, a new system. And I kind of feel like Twitch is a potential solution.
The culture is here for sure. That's the one thing I'm seeing too. I love Twitch. That's also why I critique it a lot, and you can tell. I mean, your film literally, like, the onus of it is well, not the onus, but like the quite a bit of it here is the emotional hook of what the chat is saying, and when you hear the new ding for the new message and all that here, and it reinforces to me what I've always been saying out loud here, which is that, like, because Twitch has culture, and you cannot manufacture culture. You can throw all the money you want at your product here, but you culture. It has to come organically from the will of the people, I would say. And there's something going on there where, like, if the chat is moving, you do feel a value in consuming it. It does feel very different than other platforms where, like, I hate to throw shade here. I'm not even trying to be that biased about it, but like, if you're if you're consuming like a YouTube live stream chat, you don't feel like it's really there. It's just kind of like, I don't know, it could be bots, could not be bots. I don't even know, whatever here. I feel nothing. Whereas Twitch chat, and by extension, with the onus of the Twitch chat in your movie, yeah, it is there. I mean, that's the one thing you didn't hear my chat say during the whole film was like, oh man, this is whack and lame, and I'm not really feeling it. No, they were in. I know they were in all the way through.
So engaging being in the chat while watching this film, and it did feel authentic. It felt real. It felt like there was community there. It felt like there was genuine curiosity to engage with the film, and to be a part of something, which is, I think, the best that Twitch has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So ultimately, your film was on the chopping block initially from PBS, due to including trans ideology, because that's offensive in the era now of the DEI cuts being appointed by, I don't know, vague threats from like Doge or whatever else here, and ultimately that leads to us coming back here and bringing it to the people. Though I'm really happy to hear that I mean, it took a little bit of some thunder there, but PBS retracted that initial decline, and now you'll get to enjoy even a wider exposure. I think the film is good for that here. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think like I'm really proud that we as a film spoke up about what happened, and you can see how speaking up and putting pressure forced PBS to change their mind and get the film on the schedule. And I'm hoping that will encourage other people to also speak up if they're encountering similar cases of censorship and put pressure on the decision makers, because it can really have an impact. And I think that's really something that is true for really all politics right now, is that we all need to stand up whenever there are cases of injustice, Trump bullshit. We're not going to get anywhere by just being silent and acquiescing and self-censoring. We have to nip it in the bud. So my hope is that people will continue and follow suit.
Absolutely. Real quick, while you were saying that, I was getting the links here. Yeah, chat. Polygon mentioned the ordeal itself here, but if I recall correctly here, the Atlantic article is what put the fear of God over in PBS, and they're like, oh shit, we're getting bad PR for this here. Actually, listen, somehow we were able to squeeze it in there. What do you know? Shocker, shocker. Just to kind of like, just to kind
it
of,
was the same day as
oh.
The reporter Dan Enber. He reached out for comment, and then I got an email at the end of the day saying, we just got a date from PBS. Here's your new air date. And the website, they had also taken down our website. That was restored.
Oh my God.
So, to me, that I can kind of figure out what happened with the timing.
God. The cat walked on the keyboard, and the page went from publish to unpublish. Oh, miracle. Well, we now we republished it here. Sorry I'm caught, rather than sorry for the remorseful reasons, right? Of course. The classic. Okay. Well, so thank you for sharing all that. Now chat's a bit more aware here that, yeah, there's chat, the whole reason you value the live experience of Twitch here, I would say here, part of that is the authenticity. And as you can tell right now here, y'all got to enjoy the uncensored, true, authentic cut that was intended for y'all to see here right now, only on Twitch. And maybe because of Twitch, it will hopefully be seen the same way elsewhere, free from doctoring or meddling and things like that here. I think it's an important thing to see, honestly, and whatnot. I think it'll change a lot of minds for the haters and all that here, for sure.
And I know for certain that Break the Game isn't the only film that's experienced censorship in the PBS ecosystem. I know that there are a lot of other things going on. I'm just hoping that we can continue to put pressure and see PBS really stand by their mandate and stand by their mission to program for everyone. And the reason why I felt like speaking up was because I really do believe in public television, and I want it to really stick by its mission and be the best it can be. and something worth saving.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, we can, I think PBS is phenomenal with its mission statement. I think that, having access to quality programming, whether it be educational or entertaining, or ideally entertainingly educational, and be accessible to everyone irrelevant of class or income level. I don't know, it's kind of a badass thing that happened back whenever PBS initially debuted. I think in the, was it the early 80s, late 70s? I forget exactly when it was here, but, you know, or maybe even further than that. I don't remember exactly offhand here right now. But yeah, no, it's pretty badass. And yeah, I'd like that to keep going here if we can, for sure. I definitely felt a bit of a dark side whenever, I mean, it's a bit minor thing here, but a bit of a dark side whenever, if I recall correctly, HBO, Warner Brothers, and Discovery were able to acquire Sesame Street. Like, the thing that was built for a public accessible educational content is now just like another corporation-owned property to be paywalled into oblivion, slave to being hostage over at HBO Max or whatever paywalled streaming platform they want to throw it on here. It feels a little bit of a dark side there for sure for me.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics of that, so I can't really fully comment.
No, I'm sorry, you're right.
But
I'm going on minor tangent. That's not even relevant to right now. I'm sorry. I'm just
Yeah.
That's me being me right now. I'm sorry about that, y'all.
But also I want to shout out Take This, who has been moderating the chat. And they worked with PBS to create this amazing learning guide. And this is one of the things that I think PBS does so well is for all of the POV films. They put together discussion guides and learning resources, and the staff does such a great job of working with organizations who know the material and know the landscape super well. So Take This, I don't know if you're familiar, but they do lot of they're really like kind of leading the charge of being a resource for the mental health of gamers, and I am such a fan of the work that they do, and I'm hopeful that guide will get put back up on the website ASAP so that it can be a resource to everyone who watches the film.
Absolutely. Since we have Take This organ here right now, actually, with the moderators and all that here, yeah, feel free to drop any links you want to here. I have seen some of the work already here. It's phenomenal work. I have done many a reaction to some of the videos released. It's great stuff all around here for sure. Yeah, just drop it. Y'all go over there, click that, check them out here. Promise you, maybe even bookmark it if you can here. They drop the heat all the time. It's just good stuff.
Yes.
So okay, so now we can kind of move into here. I did want to talk about the film a little bit if we could, if you don't mind.
Yes. Yes.
So I saw you gave me a special screening to check it out like a year ago, and so I hadn't seen it since then. So it was kind of like rewatching it for the first time for me, because like I didn't remember the specifics, but I remembered the feelings, right? So it was familiar enough to look forward to feeling those feelings again. You know what I mean? Kind of like a memory that you remembering, but you don't remember the actual memory itself, that kind of thing. And
what were those feelings for you?
How were they? You asked?
What were the feelings for you?
Oh, like melancholy, and I mean, there were some times where I had to like rewind the film because I was stuck, spaced out, thinking about the scene depicted, right? Whether it be with Narcissa or whoever else here, and I was thinking about like my parallel of that, and I got caught on my own drifting. Like the feels trip was so strong that I had to like, okay, wait, I forgot what happened the last like 2 minutes ago. I'm sitting here spaced out thinking about like my own bullshit here. Like, it's such a human experience, and you tugging at my heartstrings there a lot. Maybe, you know, I think it's for everyone here, but for me especially, just because I've been there. You know, Twitch streaming, it's your heart is on a platter. You know, if I had $1 every time I thought about like how vulnerable I've been and how I almost quit and how, you know, maybe I cried off camera and shit like that. It's a lot. I don't even want to bore you through all, you know, I got my own fucking 10-year, 12-year, 15-year baggage of garbage here, all that. People change, and the difference is most don't have all their shit documented to the extent that Twitch streamers do. Sure, people have social media logs and whatever else here, but like Twitch streamers, oh my God, you're only as strong as your Google results, and man, Google does not forget. Negativity sells hardcore, and it's a bitch all the way through. Yeah, you gotta have thick skin all the way. So yeah, my feelings were, yeah, it was I didn't know what to expect when I first saw it, but whenever I was like, wow, this is actually really well done. And I kept thinking here on my, I remember my first viewing, I was like, man, this is super authentic, very grounded. It didn't feel pretentious or sanitized or even like what's the word? There's a word for this here. Whenever you like focus on one thing and it's not really that important. I don't know the word insular, I suppose here. I don't know. It felt like it was actually like focusing on the correct things all the way through. You know what I mean? So with that here, I can go further on my own thing here, but but while you're here, I can of course give my own thoughts whenever you're not required. But you're here right now, so I have to ask you here on a couple things I just really want to know about. One thing I want to give you particular kudos to here is your craft on it being immersive. I noticed here that like chat, there's this thing, right? There's this thing that Brad Bird said, the director of Incredibles, right? He said here that like when background characters are done well, they're no longer impressive. They just become immersive. You don't notice background characters. And I want to take that principle here and apply it to your film because like right away, like you make like you're crafting, you know, the fake desktop and the Twitch website and the chat and everything else here. Like you don't use actual assets from like, you know, these like Twitch VODs or whatever else here. You recreate them, you know, at a compositional proportionality to like your film canvas to make it like easily legible, even at a quick glance. And it's all intuitive. You know, you're not like always stuck like, you know, thinking about what that comment almost said. You're able to like look at it all the way through here. What was your process on making it immersive? Because chat had no problem following it. They were in all the way. Some of them probably didn't even notice it was like not even like native Twitch VODs, maybe because it was just done so fucking well.
It was a process. It's kind of crazy because when I first came across Narcissa's stream, I was like, oh my god, this is the documentary. Like, it's in the Twitch stream. This was 2016, 2017. And I went to my mentors in the doc world and I was like, yeah, there's this movie, it's going to be in the Twitch stream. And they were like, that is so uncinematic. You can't make a movie about someone who's just playing video games or on their computer. You need to like get her out. Who are you going to interview? Do whatever you can to make it capital C cinematic. And at that time, I didn't really have faith in myself as a filmmaker and like, I went through an exercise of doing a lot of things to try to make it traditionally cinematic. I filmed, like you can't tell from watching the movie, but I went to Portland where Narcissa lived at the time 10 or 12 times. And like she'd get off the stream and I'd be like, how was the stream? Even though I just watched it. Like, and she'd talk about the stream and I was like, even when we were filming, I was like, this is really kind of boring. We like took a projector to her apartment and like put her Ocarina of Time world record projected on the wall and she like narrated it, which was actually a pretty good scene that I always tried to fit in the film, but it never quite fit. I filmed with some of the fans in the chat, like Zant, Synarchism, one of Narcissa's mods, Princess Viviana. I filmed interviews with their parents. I did a lot of stuff, and over time, as I was working on the edit, that material became less and less. We took away more and more, and it really wasn't until like the very end of the process where we were at a screening, a works in progress screening hosted by, shout out to the IDA and Film Independent, and we're watching on the big screen, and it just felt super embarrassing to watch the portions that weren't on stream. And I could feel like the audience like really engaging whenever we were in the Twitch stream. And one of the editors, Stephanie, she and I were in the parking lot. We were like, yeah, we need to take out all the footage that was shot. And it was actually really, really easy, because everything happened on the stream. Like, even like Narcissa making a video of her past, that was like a really like clear way to tell her backstory. It was surprisingly easy, and it made the film so much better. And it was just so refreshing to be like, my instincts were right. This is how the film was meant to be. It made it uniquely from Narcissa's perspective. It also gave her agency because she shot all of those stream. I never told her, like, make sure you stream. Like, that was at her direction and the material given. So it felt really authentic, and it, I think it really worked. But it was a really long process to get there.
Yeah. Well, that dedication is definitely admirable here. You know, there've been a couple. See, I don't know if I want to distract or make other references. I'm going to anyway, though. But like, what's his name? Damien Chazelle, director of La La Land and Whiplash, right? I recall an interview where he admitted here that him editing La La Land, the film was shot and done. He just spent one whole year on just editing it, obsessing over, like, does every scene flow in its own? Yes. Then does the whole film flow whenever I put it all together? Yes, eventually, right? So, you know, yeah, you gotta cook. You know, you take your ratatouille, you crank it up to max, and you just gotta, you know, you get in there. You know, you can't rush perfection.
Yes.
And I think one of the biggest compliments here on that front, I'm sorry, I'm glazing excessively here because I can't help but do that. The film doesn't feel long at all. Like that, it's 74 minutes, and
It's short, and I think it's the perfect length.
yeah, no, it flies by. It flies by. I feel like you don't even like realize you're over halfway through when you are halfway through, and that's a good thing. That's like those are the best, right?
Yes.
So yeah, and I know you saw chat was in all the way here. I saw, you know, every scene chat was never dead. Chat was chronically logging their own feelings as they're going through it and whatnot. I saw that. I was like, yeah, that's a sign of a immersive experience for sure. Let's see here. So you already kind of covered here the efforts to remain authentic to Twitch culture. I think you did that like in spades for sure. Like,
Thank you.
'cause I think the ultimate litmus test here is like, you know, you're screening this a documentary film largely about Twitch culture to a Twitch chat. They're gonna call out frame one the minute that the immersion, because the more immersive it is, the more prone you are to things like Uncanny Valley. You're so close, but they're about X thing here. Nah, no one once. I saw not even the biggest haters here. Not even one comment I saw was like, about that. You knocked it all the way through. You know, showing here that you're a capital G gamer, but also, yeah, you're in the culture. You know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched just from Narcissa alone over 3,000 hours, and that's not counting like streams for fun, D-girl streams. Like, I went in hard.
Oh, it definitely shows. It definitely shows. So yeah, you were definitely authentic. No need to even elaborate further on that one here. I was gonna ask you a fun question here about, like, did you feel that there was anything left out that you wish wasn't? But you already admitted here there was the OOT thing. But I'd love to hear if you know, is there anything like you selfishly wanted to be in there, but you felt it just wasn't working for like maybe like pacing reasons or just distracting from the larger picture?
A few things. One is our brilliant cinematographer Justin. He shot some like amazing footage in Narcissa's apartment that was actually pretty cinematic, given that like it was just a room with white walls and a bed and a desk. And he shot some really nice footage of Narcissa's fridge filled with Soylent with like condensation dripping off the bottles. And like we put a GoPro in there and we'd see like Narcissa taking the bottles of Soylent. And like I really miss those shots.
Mm-hmm.
But there was like no way to get them in once we changed the approach. There was a scene that was really just like, it was really a selfish scene that was animated that we started with Patrick. That went into like when Narcissa got her N64. That was a combination of her experience, like falling in love with Zelda and like the world of N64, as like I think about 10-year-old, maybe a little younger, and my own experience. I had wanted an N64 so badly for a year from 4th to 5th grade, and my parents like, you're not getting it. We opened all the presents. my brother and I were so upset because there was no N64. And then my dad goes, "Oh, it looks like Santa dropped something from his sleigh." And we
Oh,
go outside
no.
and the N64 was there. So we kind of like combined the
Dude.
experiences.
Oh, dude, I love when the parents farm hard on Christmas morning. Oh, well, I guess that's it, y'all. Then they, then they put the car keys in the can of beans or whatever, or they just troll you hard and the real things outside.
Yeah.
Or I love that. I love that. You
So
gotta
I
get
kind
try
of
hard.
missed that. Patrick, we should just finish that scene. I'll and send it to my dad for Father's Day or something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay, so we already are running a little bit behind here to get to the round table, but I have to get these last two questions in here because they're so good here. So, a bit of some context about yourself here, just the elephant in the room. What motivated you to make the film? Like, was this like a thing that you and our sister had agreed to that like became this journey? Because you said it was like a 7-year or 6-year collaboration or whatever, or was it more like you yourself are a documentarian and this was like this is what captivated you to like lock in and do it because you had to see the story told?
I mean, my day
anything.
job is I've worked in like nonfiction and reality TV, and I always like knew I wanted to make a film, but I didn't have like a subject that I felt passionately enough to go on such a long journey for. And then I couldn't beat a boss in an N64 game, specifically Diddy Kong Racing. It was like playing for the first time in years, and I went on YouTube and came across two fools doing a run. And it was an old Awesome Games Done Quick run, and I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I had never really seen a speed run, or like I didn't know I had seen a speed run, and I was just like, what the hell? This is awesome. And I just kept watching videos until I came across some of Narcissa's GDQ runs of Ocarina of Time, and I was like, who is this like celebrity of this world? I'm like, you were in the crowd, Siglemic was in the crowd. It just felt like it was like this subculture that I was like learning the language of. I was like, oh, what is a strat? I just got really into it, and I searched Narcissa. It was about a month after she had come out, and I just went on her stream, and it kind of what I was saying before, like it felt like a really authentic place that didn't feel like the rest of social media. There was like all this community in the chat, and I just got kind of hooked. And it felt like the future of like relationships, the future of media. It just felt like it was like everything. It was everything. So I knew once I saw Narcissa's stream, I was like, this is a doc. And I kind of reached out. I sent her like a Twitch message, but like she definitely wasn't checking those at the time. And then I like was like, oh, I'm too nervous to like message her. It wasn't until I saw she wanted to make the comeback with Breath of the Wild that I sent her a Twitter DM and we talked, and then I went out and met her in Portland, and I feel like we really got along and wanted to do this, so we did it.
I love it. I have so many thoughts here, but we're so low on time. It's like that authenticity that you were bombarded with when you went to her stream and you saw like just this unparalleled amounts of just like camaraderie going on in the chat. I feel that. I do think here there were golden eras of the internet, golden eras of, dare I even say, social media, and even to a degree a golden era of speed running within Twitch in itself here, when it was special and a spectacle, and there was like a gratuitous amount of authenticity, where I feel like now like the content is kind of a bit more solved now, and there is less authenticity. It's more about making the content than just like documenting your experience and that being presented as content. I'm painfully a boomer in that regard. I don't really do the whole like super meta content stuff comparatively. I'm just me to a degree, so it is what it is. But yeah, I yearn for that connection. I get you loud and clear there. But I'll save my critiques of modern Twitch etiquette and Twitch culture and the content and the state of the content for another day. When we have more time, we got to move on, of course, as always here. So thank you for sharing that. And then the what was my last question I had for you here? It's kind of a two-parter here. One is that now that you're done, now that Break the Game is complete, where do you go from here? Or and dare I ask here, are there more stories to be told now that you've done this like S tier like, you know, depiction of Twitch? Where do you go from here? And then where does the documenting online culture, in your opinion, go from here? Kind of a two-parter. Answer however you would like.
Yeah. I guess I'll start with at the end. Like, this was such like, it took so much to make this movie. Like, it was really like kind of emotionally really hard. I had to take like a year off at one point because I was like, I can't watch any more of these streams. Like, it was putting me in a really negative headspace, and I was like, if I ever make another film, I'm just gonna like follow someone out in nature. I'm never making another internet film, but I like what I like. And sure enough, I am in production on my next film. It's called Hold You Tight, and I would say it's like Her by Spike Jones, but real. So it kind of investigates love and loneliness in the age of AI. So it's another weird internet movie that's also going to be, I think, really emotional and have like a really human core. As far as the future of films about the internet, I'm kind of I'm hopeful. I feel like when I first started making Break the Game, there were really very few good films about the digital world. It always felt like, you know, someone was documenting it from outside and not from within. I think that some films have come along that have changed that. I would say films like We Met in Virtual Reality, which was shot all in VR. I think narrative films like Searching, that was a huge inspiration for how we handled our VFX and screen life elements. So I think people are really pushing a little further, pushing the boundary and getting inside more, and I'm really excited by that.
Yeah, Queen, you had me sold when you said Her too. I was already like, I've told my chat, dude, Her. I ended up renting that on a flight at some point because it was on my backlog, and I was like, this hit way too close for me. As someone who's just anyone who's ever done the hurdle of like long distance relationship, like LDR, which I think is a lot of people online these days, way more than people. I don't know if is there ever even like a way to survey how much more popular LDR has gotten in the last like 2 decades, but like, yeah, Her is a gut punch and a half. A journey that I can relate to a lot of the components of. So you already have me, and I already know that is like that is some incredibly underexplored depictions and where our culture and the commodification of really the entirety of relationships now is kind of gone. People are more lonely and isolated than ever, and how you cope with that is becoming increasingly non-linear. It's not just, oh, go talk to a friend. It's are friends available? Are friends around? Are friends reliable? Yeah, I'm already like, cook, fire up the ratatouille. Hit us up when you have a date. We'll be there
with that one.
So, but yeah, no, I love what you're saying here. Yeah, people, yeah, a lot of documentaries doing online stuff here. They are not coming from within. They come external, and that authenticity is lost, which is kind of why you have this divide now. Just to kind of end on this point here. A funny thing, if I can share real quick here. So I do Twitch, as you know. I've been doing Twitch full time since 2015. I've been doing Twitch since before its inception in 2011. I've been speedrunning since 2004. My relatives, my family, the normies, they didn't really get it. They didn't like, because you say you ran to Narcissa and she was a superstar, and you're like, oh my god, whoa, this is crazy, right? It's a lot. My family didn't get it until. Not when I went. Okay, so as you know, me and Narcissa both were at the Nintendo World Championships 2015, where, you know, the world premiere of Mario Maker happened, right? So speedrunning is directly recognized by Nintendo in a way never seen before here. And world premiere, you had speedrunners playing the shit, pretty fucking badass. You know, crazy times that was and all that. That wasn't when they got it. They didn't get it. My family didn't get it until that Nintendo World Championship had its rerun on Disney XD. Only when
wow.
it was on, when it was a regurgitated 30-minute, a 30-minute like edited, toned down version that was on cable broadcast that included us doing like additional B-roll. You know, the reality show thing here, we talk to the camera, right?
Oh yeah.
Tell us what it was like when you were doing the 2-minute Smash Fest thing, right? Like all this like other crap, right?
Oh
like,
yeah.
That was the version that they saw, which was, I argue, was like just take like a can of Coke and just add like 80% water to it. Just so diluted down to nothing. Like, it's more being told rather than showing. You know, show, don't tell. It was tell, don't show type shit, I would argue here. 30 minutes in total duration, lots of just, you know, cutting back to me talking about stuff or whoever else here. That was, and because it was on cable, then to them, they were like, oh, wow, you've made it. And it's like, oh my God, bro, yeah. So the authenticity is just like, you know, you got to be in the market for it. So it's kind of almost this like conundrum where the audience capture, there's this like big divide between like internet and like anti-internet almost in a way. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. It's a weird one.
Yes. I do think that this film is actually a really good tool for parents. It passed my mom's test of she brought her like 70-year-old girlfriends to see it when we were at Tribeca, and they were like, "This is real. Like, this is emotional. Things happen in this world. I could follow it." And I think that they like understood what like world I was in while watching it. I think we've actually like even screened it at schools with parents, and they're like, I know what my kids are up to now, and like I can talk to them about this world. So like I think that's like the secret audience that we have for this film is like the people who don't understand the world, because it was like very much a balance of trying to make this like both read as authentic to the gamers in the audience and people who've been on Twitch, and then someone who's never watched a Twitch stream or played a Zelda game before.
You are spitting here. I can't tell you how often, you know, my mom will just, you know, very abruptly tell other normies, right? Just like, my boy does, he's a gamer, he's a pro gamer. And then like, and only when she says that, right? I would never tell them this obviously, but she tells them that. And then they spill, oh, my son plays the fork knife and the you know, the Call of Duty or whatever, like they whatever, right? They say however they say it here. And then I'm like, oh, cool, what do they do? And then, oh, I don't know, they're like on like, I don't know, the Bonfire, Discord, whatever it is. I'm like, your 9-year-old's on Discord? Do you know what that is? And I'm stuck here trying to explain here. Do you know what grooming is? Do you know what's on that Discord? They're not even like, they're not on Roblox doing Roblox in-game chat. They're on Discord. Like, do you know, how old are they again? So I'm the one stuck playing like parent round 2, just explaining the entirety of the internet to them. And it's like, there is definitely a massive deficit on understanding here. Like, what is even going on there? It's pretty nuts. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So yeah. So I think you're doing a great business here with being able to like bridge people with that one for sure. And I think it's really telling, if I can give another compliment there, that like when all these emotional intense scenes that are happening with Narcissa are happening, you know, I would imagine that most viewers are probably wondering here, was this recreated and then having a filter applied to make it look like it was a stream? And I know, and you know, and those who were there at that point, they know, yeah, this is all real. But more importantly, it happened on camera, but this happens off camera all the time. The intensity and the volatility of these communications, yeah, the apexes are all happening in Discord communication and Twitch chats as well here, for sure. And I think your film is brilliant for capturing that so well and so immersive that for those who are familiar with it, they don't even like it kind of goes over their head that was like, you know, because you have to consider whenever it's being recreated how just less tangible and believable the whole thing really would be. So you did it.
Yeah,
did
we've had people who've watched it and thought it was a narrative film, which has been kind of a nice compliment, but also a little bizarre. But I think part of like the reason why it feels so intimate is because Narcissa was so committed to capturing every moment, including the really, really hard ones, which I think like a lot of us have moments like that, but they're just in private.
Yeah, that's the we'll end here because I know we're so behind right now to get to the roundtable here, but there is so much of that I too have struggled with as a streamer. When you're bringing up the whole like capturing everything and all that stuff here, I have been in that trap where the thing is, this profession is pretty new. The whole like people, I know we're at a point now where like social media is everywhere and smartphone saturation is everywhere. iPad kids are a total like generational like endemic at this point. And we're in the era of influencers nonstop here with the likes of shit stains of Logan Paul or Feastables or Mr. Beast or KSI or I mean insert X YouTuber with a monetized public apology, yada yada yada, right? But they weren't always there. The era of influencer was not a thing. I'd argue it was definitely not a thing 20 years ago, was developing into a thing here 15 years ago. The whole profession is quite new. And I'd argue that the human brain is, we're just, peanut-sized cavemen and cavewomen that are like not really built for this level of social stimulation at a global reach. And I'm reading here, hundreds, if not thousands of Twitch chats daily that I'm simulating. I'm taking the chat on my inanimate monitor and I am simulating what the conversation would be in person with all of the intricacies of body language, eye contact, cadence, tone, inflection, delivery, speed, hand gestures, and everything else here. I am simulating all that in my head to give a authentic delivery and reaction and engagement to such. And when it's negative, I am literally creating the painful encounter in my imagination and then inflicting it upon myself. It is such a uniquely mentally taxing thing that people who are not streaming for full time will never really grasp their head around here. They'll never really know what happens when your brain has to simulate most of your social interactions on a day-to-day basis. It's so volatile from going from being like a waiter or working retail to then being effectively you're doing COVID quarantine at the house with infinite amounts of stimuli socially all through simulation here. It's your brain going on 100% CPU constantly, and it drains your social battery, and and on a way here, your brain has to cope with the level of garbage daily. Yeah, I'm not even surprised anyone really in this situation, in this occupation, would crash out and because what do you do when it's going bad? Like, who do you go to? I don't know. It's also, who's going to pity you, the streamer, with with your successful platform and you're doing all that here. I'm sorry, I'm kind of venting here.
What do you do to get through it?
Oh, you're asking me. That's a dangerous question you're asking me right now. I don't know. Sometimes I fall apart. I mean, I've had a really rocky, between the premiere of Feels Good Man and now, I've gone through a whole ass journey. I developed thought-induced anxiety that I never had felt before. I had temporarily had inflictions of I had a 4-day bout of insomnia that I never had before, that came from a traumatic experience of vertigo that I got from stress. It was a panic attack that then succumbed to vertigo, and then the vertigo gave me thought-induced anxiety about getting further panic attacks, and I got panic attacks for getting tired because I thought I was going to get another vertigo attack again. So it just all looped itself here, and that developed into insomnia, and I was losing control of my life, and my mental health, my quality of life here had plummeted so rapidly, so quickly, that I didn't even know what reality was, which then developed into me having dissociative disorders, where I was kind of questioning, am I real? Is this real? Is reality real? And I had to pinch myself or put ice in my face to kind of is ice cold? Is the air real? Am I here right now? It was it was terrifying for sure. And I didn't want to bring all that to my Twitch stream, right? Because I was kind of losing my mind a little bit there, but I'd say years of therapy got me really, really far. I had to really build a support system and all that here, and I had to be more authentic with my and honest about my boundaries, and I've come a long way since then, for sure. But what do I do? That's a tough question. I don't have all the answers right now. I try my best to not slop it up with my stream. I try. I don't know if I do a good job of that right now, but my community still loves me, and they've been through a lot. I definitely have gone on the deep end here of going from speedrunning to, I guess, a makeshift political commentator, because I was trying to make sense of the world whenever everything was falling to shit. And things divisive things like being public safety, health standards, and vaccines were all now up for debate. And I was kind of well, I mean, I feel polio and measles and just generally these were I don't know, a couple things there. Not to get too caught in the whole thing here and all that, but like, I'm doing better now. I look at it like to find purpose and meaning behind what I do. I do find I get quickly demotivated if I'm like producing, like, if I'm caught producing slop content that has like no real meaning or no real purpose. Like, of course, the privilege of being here now and debuting your film gives me great, you considering me, I'm infinitely flattered. And even being here now and giving you like a candid conversation about, am I the most qualified? I don't know, but I am doing my damn best right now to be with you, and I'm really happy for the opportunity. And and things like this here keep me coming back daily to camera, please. Coming back daily to, deliver my best, both for you and the stream and everyone else in between. I don't know, kind of a wordy answer there, but
Appreciate it.
yeah, it's a lot. Well, thank you so much. We are 30 minutes behind on this whole schedule here. I hope that our call is still gonna happen with the roundtable here. I'm gonna chat. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a small break here. I'm gonna see if we're doing our roundtable still at this time. I hope so, and see if the guests are gonna be here. If you look at the schedule right now, you'll see here that the roundtable coming up next here, we're gonna have D Girl, the Surfs TV, and Nathan all join us here to talk about a couple of fun things involving the themes and the bigger picture of like why, I guess, and to summarize it concisely here, why is online discourse the way it is right now? It's quite normalized for it to be toxic, hostile, judgmental, exclusionary. Sorry, camera's going crazy. And what can we do about that? That's kind of the thing that your film, your film gives an unapologetic, scathing view of Twitch culture, which I think is really just like a symptom of a bigger thing with just like how normalized toxicity is, whether it be in like a Call of Duty lobby, a Twitch chat, a YouTube comment section, or really the entirety of social media, because people are really eager to punch down and not really lift up. And I wonder what we can do about that now that it's so far, and you have to honestly like kind of remind everyone that this is not necessarily how it has to be. It is what it is right now, but maybe we can like alleviate that a little bit here. So I look forward to that. So everyone hang tight here. Let's take a 10-minute break as I figure out what we're doing.